A foul ball rockets off the bat, soaring into the stands on a perfect arc. The crowd rises, voices lift, and for 1 second, the magic of baseball feels alive in the air. A dad reaches out, clean catch. No hesitation. He turns and drops the ball into his son's hands. The section cheers. Phones pop up, and a childhood memory is born. That's the moment every fan dreams of. A story the kid will tell for the rest of his life. I got a ball at the ballpark. Pure, wholesome, unforgettable. But before the applause can settle, before the boy can even process what just happened, a figure storms into frame. Arms waving, voice rising, energy boiling over. She points, shouts, and insists the ball is hers. In a heartbeat, the sweetness of that memory collapses. What was a highlight for one family turns into the internet's latest cautionary tale. Because this wasn't just a baseball. It became a battle between innocence and entitlement. And in today's world, battles like that don't stay inside the ballpark. They spill onto every phone screen, every timeline, and every comment section. This is the story of the Phillies fan meltdown, how one foul ball turned a kid's joy into a nationwide outrage, and why it says more about baseball culture than you might think. It all started with a scene that felt like it belonged in a baseball movie. A father, sitting with his young son, leans forward as the ball arcs toward their section. He makes the grab clean, smooth as if he's done it 100 times. Without even looking proud of himself, he does what every parent dreams of. He turns and places the ball into his boy's small hands. The kid's eyes widen, the crowd around them smiles, and for a split second, the world slows down. You could almost hear the future unfolding. I got a ball at my first game. A memory stamped in gold. The phones around them rise to capture the moment, because everyone recognizes the beauty of it. Baseball at its best isn't just about home runs or strikeouts, it's about those tiny threads that tie generations together. But then, like a storm cloud rolling across a sunny sky, the moment shifts. A woman barrels into the frame, her face flushed, her arms slicing through the air. She doesn't come quietly. She comes charging in with her voice raised, pointing, accusing. Her words spill out sharp and insistent. "You took it from me! That was mine!" In an instant, the mood flips. What had been joy turns sour. The father, still sitting calmly, raises his palms in that universal gesture of peace. His eyes flick to his son, who now clutches the baseball like it's a life raft. The boy's smile falters, his shoulders shrink, as the weight of the moment changes. The crowd feels it too. Laughter dies in their throats. Smiles turn into raised brows. It's as if the entire section is suddenly transformed into a jury box, each fan now a witness, each glance silently asking, "Is this really happening? Over a foul ball?" What should have been a sweet family memory has been hijacked, twisted into a spectacle. Instead of a story about baseball magic, it's quickly becoming a story about conflict, and the whole section is locked in to watch. What began as a tense exchange quickly spirals into something much larger. The father keeps his composure, his voice calm, his palms open as if to say, "We're fine, let's not make this worse." But the woman won't let it go. She leans in closer, finger jabbing, voice rising above the hum of the crowd. Every word drips with insistence. "That ball was mine. You ripped it right out of my hands." The boy clutches the baseball tighter, his shoulders curling in as though he could hide from the storm. That innocence, the kind you only get once at your first ball game, is slipping away. His face confused, deflated says everything. Around them, the crowd shifts. First it's whispers, then sideways glances, then that awkward collective groan that tells you everyone has picked a side. Some fans chuckle nervously at the absurdity, but laughter doesn't last long. The woman's body language grows sharper, her steps short and aggressive, her finger pointing like an accusation in a courtroom. And that's exactly what this has become, a public trial. The jury isn't 12 people in a box. It's dozens of strangers packed into 10 rows of seats, each one judging not who touched the ball first, but who is ruining the moment for the kid sitting quietly with tears threatening to form. Phones begin to rise higher. Some tilt for a better angle, others zoom in on the child's uneasy expression. Spectators mutter, "Main character energy," a phrase that carries a simple meaning. Like it or not, this woman is now the star of the show, and the internet will soon have its newest villain. The father, realizing that the argument has already poisoned the moment, makes a choice no parent wants to make. He loosens his grip, lets the ball go, and places it back into the woman's hands. It's a sacrifice, not a surrender, choosing his son's peace over a pointless fight. But if he hoped it would calm the storm, he was wrong. Instead of ending the scene, the decision inflames it. The woman lifts the ball high, strutting as though she'd just won the World Series. The boos get louder, The phones zoom closer, and what was once a family's memory is now fuel for a viral fire. The boos inside the ballpark were only the beginning. Within minutes, the shaky phone videos left the stands and landed online. First on TikTok, then Twitter, then everywhere. The clip spread faster than wildfire, with captions that only made the scene sting more. Karen steals ball from kid. Entitlement on display. And when innocence meets selfishness. The internet didn't just watch it dissected. Frame by frame, zoomed in slow-motion replays, rolled out like forensic evidence in a trial. Screenshots highlighted the father's clean catch, the immediate handoff to his son, and the woman's fingers never quite closing around the ball. Her story that the ball was snatched from her hands collapsed in real time. At best, her fingertips grazed it. At worst, she fabricated the whole thing. Comment sections lit up with sarcasm and scorn. One top-voted line read, "That's not a baseball, that's a scarlet letter." Another called it the most cursed souvenir in Phillies history. Memes poured in her finger-pointing set to circus music, her face edited onto cartoon villains, her meltdown compared to horror movie jump scares. Even die-hard Phillies fans, the same ones who proudly defend their city's rowdiest traditions, admitted this moment embarrassed them. That's how bad it looked. And it didn't stop there. The internet's hunger for a villain led to something darker: mistaken identity. Within hours, two innocent women were misidentified online as the so-called Phillies Karen. One of them, blindsided, had to log into Facebook just to deny she was the woman in the viral clip. Another was rumored to have lost her job, false claims that spread so fast her local school district had to issue a public statement clearing her name. This is how quickly viral outrage snowballs. One woman's meltdown in the stands didn't just make her infamous, it dragged strangers into the spotlight, strangers who had nothing to do with it. Screenshots don't die easily, and by the time corrections spread, the damage was done. What started as a squabble over a foul ball was no longer just a fan story. It was a cultural case study, how fast the internet crowns villains, how merciless it becomes when memes take over, and how a moment of selfishness can spiral into a week-long storm of outrage. And yet, the story wasn't finished. Because the Phillies themselves weren't about to sit back and let a child leave their ballpark in tears. Inside Citizens Bank Park, the scene didn't sit well. Security and stadium staff had seen the argument unfold in real time, and they weren't about to let a child walk out feeling cheated. Within minutes, ushers quietly approached the father and son, guiding them down toward the dugout. The crowd, buzzing with curiosity, leaned in to watch. When the boy returned, he wasn't holding a baseball. He was holding a bat. Not just any bat, but one freshly signed by a Phillies player, straight from the clubhouse. The crowd erupted not with boos this time, but with applause. The tide flipped instantly. In one move, the organization had sent a message. The child's joy mattered more than one adult's tantrum. That gesture wasn't random. Teams today know the power and the danger of viral moments. Just days earlier, a Polish CEO had been shredded online for snatching a kid's hat at the US Open. Sports organizations understand that a single clip can stain a brand overnight. By stepping in, the Phillies not only protected the boy's memory, they protected the integrity of their franchise. But this moment went deeper than public relations. It touched on something every longtime baseball fan knows by heart: ballpark etiquette. For generations, there's been an unwritten rule: when a foul ball or a home run finds its way into the stands, and a kid is nearby, you give the ball to the kid. It's not about who's quicker, or whose fingertips brushed the leather. It's about preserving the spirit of the game, about ensuring that baseball's magic lives on in the youngest fans. When the woman snatched the ball, she wasn't just breaking a social rule, she was breaking a tradition. Baseball is more than hits and runs, it's memory, heritage, the passing of joy from one generation to the next. That's why the crowd turned so sharply against her. Because everyone in that section knew instinctively, this wasn't about property, it was about principle. The irony is cruel. The boy, who should have had a story about catching his first foul ball, ended up with a story about a stranger's selfishness. Yet, thanks to the Phillies, that story now had a brighter ending. A signed bat, a stadium's applause, and the kind of tale he'll tell for decades. Meanwhile, the woman left with her baseball. But what she really carried home wasn't a souvenir, it was a symbol. A reminder that sometimes, the ugliest thing you can take from a ballpark isn't an object at all, but the innocence of a child's moment. By the end of the night, the boy walked out of Citizens Bank Park with more than he could have imagined: a signed bat, the roar of the crowd, and the support of millions who watched his story unfold. Yet, there was no erasing the shadow. His first ballpark memory, the one that should have been pure magic, will always carry the image of an adult turning joy into chaos. For the woman at the center of it all, The fallout is permanent. She may have left clutching a baseball, but she lost something far greater: her anonymity. Her face is now etched into timelines, replayed in memes, dissected in forums. Even without her name, she became unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. Every trip to a ballpark from here on out carries the risk of a whisper. That's her. In 2025, that may be the harshest punishment of all. This saga isn't just about one foul ball. It's about what baseball represents. The game has always been called a sport of memory. Fathers and daughters, mothers and sons, all carrying moments that outlast the innings themselves. That's why foul balls and home run souvenirs feel sacred. They're not just leather and stitches, they're milestones. When an adult hijacks that tradition, it feels like more than bad behavior. It feels like a violation of baseball's unwritten code, one passed quietly through generations. When a kid gets the ball, the story belongs to the kid. And maybe that's why this clip hit so hard. Because it forced fans to ask a deeper question. What do we want to be remembered for in this game? The kindness of handing a ball to a child? Or the bitterness of snatching it away? Baseball has always been about more than statistics. It's about the echoes of cheers, the smell of hot dogs in the stands, the stories that carry long after the scoreboard fades. And in this case, the story isn't about who technically touched the ball first. It's about dignity, compassion, and the reminder that sometimes the smallest gestures carry the greatest weight. One foul ball, one tantrum, one viral clip, and a lesson that will linger far longer than the leather souvenir itself. Because in the end, baseball isn't measured by the objects you keep, it's measured by the memories you leave behind.